Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back to August 6, 1950, an episode of the Mutual summer program Under Arrest, starring Joe DeSantis.
Mutual presents Under Arrest, starring Joe DeSantis as Police Captain Jim Scott. Under Arrest! Into yourselves. Criminals behind bars. Under Arrest, the story of Police Captain Jim Scott's fight against crime.
Sit down, Mrs.
Mollison.
Mollison, yes. How can I help you, Mrs. Mollison?
I understand you're in charge of leasing out space here at the New City Airport.
Well, not airfield or hangar space, Mrs. Mollison, just commercial space in the various buildings. What did you have in mind?
A luggage shop, Mr. Hale. Smart and expensive.
Yes. Your address, Mrs. Mollison?
21 Courtney Road. Previously, I was thinking of a smart dress shop. Dresses, suits, coats, accessories. I had a shop of that kind in Seattle, and...
Yes. I had the impression when you came in that that was more your style than luggage.
I take that as a compliment, Mr. Hale. Have you the time?
11:45.
Oh, dear. I'll be late for my next appointment. Could we meet again, Mr. Hale?
Well, it'd be a pleasure, Mrs. Mollison.
I'll be needing so much advice. May I telephone you in the next day or so?
Any time, Mrs. Mollison.
Goodbye, and thank you.
Goodbye. Mrs. Mollison. Miss Schumann, the lady who just left my office. Oh, gone so quickly, eh? That's too bad. She left her handbag on my desk.
Captain Jim Scott speaking. That day I was at my desk at headquarters. I never knew Dave Hale, general manager of the city airport. Never been any reason why I should have known him. But that day he phoned and came to see me. Well, Mr. Hale, you don't want me, do you? You want our lost and found department.
I know it seems odd, Captain Scott, but open the handbag.
Oh, see.
She didn't come back right away, so I opened it to look for her address, and that's what I found.
25 caliber automatic. Handy weapon. You said her name was Mollison. Any first name?
She didn't mention any.
Husband's name?
Oh, well, that's the funny thing.
What?
Well, of course, she said her name was Mrs., but, well, I just can't think of a husband in connection with her. Ever notice that about some women, Captain?
Usually that kind doesn't want you to think about her husband. Or am I unfair?
Well, I must say this, Mrs. Mollison's...
Since she came to your office on business, didn't you write down her name and address?
Yes, but when I looked for the piece of paper later, it was gone.
Remember the address?
No. I'm so used to writing things down, I rarely remember such details.
Just a second. Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Check the city directory for a woman named Mollison. Mollison.
Mollison.
And see if anybody named Mollison has a license for a 25 caliber Frascati automatic.
Yes, sir.
Of course, I suppose Mrs. Mollison will call back for the handbag, but, well, people who carry guns worry me a little, Captain. That's why
I wish more citizens were like you, Mr. Hale. Then there'd be fewer unauthorized deadly weapons floating around. But, the gun isn't the entire reason you came to see me, is it?
You're very discerning, Captain. Well, the fact is, holding a job under the city administration as I do, I just like to avoid any chance of trouble.
And a good-looking but gun-toting woman looks like trouble to you, huh?
Am I wrong?
No, I was going to say it if you hadn't, Mr. Hale. Excuse me. Yes?
About Mollison. No such gun license.
And the city directory?
There are 17 Mollisons listed, Captain. I'm having the list typed up, sir.
Thank you, Sergeant. You heard that, Mr. Hale. Tomorrow, if I can spare a man, I'll have those 17 Mollisons checked. And when you hear from the lady, let me know. If it seems advisable, play along with us. I think you're right to be suspicious.
David Hale speaking.
This is Mrs. Mollison, Mr. Hale.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Mollison.
I'm sorry to bother you, but I think I left my handbag in your office this morning, didn't I?
Why, yes.
Was there much money in it?
Money? Well,
I thought perhaps you'd have opened it, looking for my name or address or a phone number.
Well, the fact is, Mrs. Mollison, I did.
Oh, then, of course, you found the gun.
Yes, Mrs. Mollison. But not your address, which I'd mislaid. No, your phone number.
That gun belongs to my brother in Chicago. He insisted on lending it to me because I'm so often alone here at night.
Oh, I see.
My husband's a structural engineer. He's away so much. I could be arrested for not licensing it, I suppose. Now, this is awkward. I can't get to your office again for several... Mr. Hale, I wonder if you'd think me very forward.
Forward, Mrs. Mollison?
Well, we could kill two birds with one stone. I could recover my handbag and use the theater tickets at the same time.
Theater tickets?
Well, my husband was suddenly called to Morgantown, and we bought 2 good seats tomorrow night for the play at the Lyceum, Green Forest. I hate to miss it, and if you'd care to join me...
Well, I'd be delighted, Mrs. Mollison. I can pick you up at 8 and bring the handbag with me.
8 tomorrow evening, then. Goodbye.
Mrs. Mollison, your address.
Oh, of course. 21 Courtney Road, the Green and White Bungalow. At 8 tomorrow evening, Mr. Hale. And thank you very much.
Oh, hello, Mr. Hale.
I heard from Mrs. Mollison, Captain Scott. She explained the gun quite satisfactorily. It's her brother's. She's going to license it.
Good.
As to the rest, I'm going to the theater with her tomorrow evening.
Good.
Captain, I promised to return her handbag. When I do, the gun ought to be in it, don't you think?
Well, yeah. All right. I'll remove the firing pin just in case, and I'll send it out to your office right away, Mr. Hale. Good luck with Mrs. Mollison. Hope you don't need it.
You've made this evening a lot of fun, Dave.
I'm very glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you invited me.
How about coming in for a nightcap?
If you hadn't said it, I was going to say it myself.
Come on.
What's more, I'm delighted your husband's away.
Well, I'm delighted he's away, too, Dave. Oh, that's odd. I was sure I put out all the lights when we left. Well, anyway, I can give you a...
Good evening, darling.
Bob, I thought you were in Morgantown.
No, I got halfway there and got a wire on the train putting over our conference for a week. This gentleman is,
This is Mr. Hale, my husband.
How do you do, Mr. Mollison?
Nice of you to entertain my wife, Mr. Hale. I hate to think of her being bored while I'm away. Vera, no doubt you were giving Mr. Hale a nightcap. I'll join you.
I think I ought to be going, Mr. Mollison.
Oh, why? You came in for a drink. You're going to have it. I'm taking a light scotch. Vera takes sherry. What can I give you?
Light scotch should be fine. Plain water, no ice.
I was very disappointed about my trip, Vera.
Of course.
How was the play, darling?
The play?
Well, the fact is, Mr.
Oh, it's
Mollison...
a wonderful performance, Bob. You'll have to go and see it yourself.
Mrs.
The first act's dull. I didn't like the father at all, but the rest is very exciting. Didn't you think so, Mr. Hale?
Well, maybe you'll see it again, Vera, with me.
I'd love to.
Your drink, Mr. Hale? Not too light, I hope.
Thank you.
Your sherry, darling.
Thank you.
Did you have any trouble getting the right seats, darling?
What?
When I left yesterday afternoon, I put the tickets here on the desk. They're still here.
Oh, yes.
I assume you forgot them and explained that to the doorman.
That's right, Mr. Mollison. I mean, Mrs. Mollison did forget them, but we didn't go to the theater at all.
I just told that little fib, Bob. I didn't want you to know I was careless and let the tickets go to waste. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't mind.
Yes, actually...
we went over to the Gedneys. I wanted Mr. Hale to see Bill Gedney. We played canasta and came home.
Nice fellow, Bill Gedney, isn't he, Mr. Hale? Until he starts talking about his car. You know the way some people can be so dull about their cars?
Oh, yes, very.
Vera, now I realize how you met Mr. Hale.
Oh?
Just putting two and two together. Mr. Hale is manager at the airport. You were there yesterday. You must have forgotten something, possibly a handbag. Mr. Hale returned it to you. Good guess?
Perfect, Mr. Mollison.
You have it back, darling. May I see?
Well, it's in my hand. Isn't that enough?
I want the gun, Vera.
The gun?
May I?
Here.
Thank you. I don't like you to carry a gun, Vera, no matter what. I'm going to send this back to your brother. I'm glad it's not loaded. Now, what's this?
What?
In your bag, one of those stupid noisemakers that they give away in nightclubs. This one is from the Club Serpentine. You didn't go to the theater. You didn't go to the Gedneys either, did you? You went to the Club Serpentine.
Mr. Mollison...
Oh, I don't mind the Club Serpentine, Mr. Hale. But I violently object to being lied to by my wife and another man.
Bob, please.
Mr. Mollison, I don't quite understand...
Leave this all to me. I think you'd better go.
That's the point my wife and I both agree on at this moment, Mr. Hale. You're going.
Yes, good night.
Oh, this is all my fault, Mr. Hale. I'm truly sorry.
Good night, Mrs. Mollison.
Well, Bob, I think I've hooked him for you very neatly.
August 6, 1950, Under Arrest on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Under Arrest, August 6, 1950.
Who'd you say, Miss Schumann? Oh. You better say I'm busy and can't. No. Send him in, Miss Schumann. Come in, Captain Scott.
Hello, Mr. Hale. I haven't heard anything further from you about Mrs. Mollison.
No, sit down.
Thanks. What happened?
Well, the fact is, I felt rather silly. That's why I didn't call you.
Silly?
I told you she invited me to the theater. Actually, we didn't go. She forgot the tickets. We went to the Serpentine instead, and later to her home for a nightcap. Unexpectedly, her husband was there. For some reason, Mrs. Mollison lied to him about where we'd been. I was very embarrassed. Mollison ordered me out.
Hear from her since?
No.
You said she lied for some reason.
Yes.
Occur to you what the reason might be?
Well, she may figure what Mollison didn't know wouldn't hurt him.
I figure she lied just to put you on a spot. Involve you in a relationship with her.
She doesn't seem that kind of woman. She's very intelligent. She's lovely.
Why else would she have lied?
Captain, maybe your profession leads you to read all sorts of sinister meanings into trivial incidents.
For a reason, Mr. Hale. Many a trivial incident has a sinister meaning. Blackmail is one of the sleaziest crimes there is.
Blackmail?
Blackmail. It's one of my duties to nab it. I suspect some kind of blackmail scheme is in the wind. And now, Mr. Hale, I'm not going to ask you to keep me informed. I'm warning you.
That's rather high-handed, isn't it, Captain Scott?
For your own good. Cut that dame cold, or if you do see her, let me know what happens. You invited me into this situation. When I'm convinced it's nothing, as you want to believe, I'll be the first to invite myself out. Goodbye, Mr. Hale.
Your drink, Vera.
Thank you, darling.
Dear, you're a better judge of male character than I am. What's your opinion of David Hale's state of mind after the last 6 days?
Well,
You needn't be modest with me.
I only want to be accurate. I'd say he's in a state of high curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
He's a nice man, so he can't figure out just what I was doing lying that night. I seem to be a nice woman, so why would I lie?
You don't think he's a cynic, do you?
A cynic?
A man who thinks all women lie?
I don't know what he thinks about all women. I only know what he thinks about me.
For instance?
He fell for me. Hard.
I hope you're right.
That's why he's so curious. Even if he's scared of you, for instance, he's curious.
Vera, don't estimate him for a fool. I inspected your supposed brother's gun. Did you know that the firing pin was removed?
Well, he's a cautious man, isn't he?
Well, it's a warning to us to be careful. It's time for the next step, isn't it?
I think so.
The embarrassed wife calling a sincere friend to explain the little business of the other night. A tear in the eye, a hint that your husband is an unfeeling brute.
I know.
In short, if he's on the brink of falling in love with you, push him over the cliff.
Darling, we've been invited to Mabel Spinner's party next Monday night. She has a penthouse apartment, you know. Suppose I call Hale and say you're away again, and that I want to explain. Yeah, I think that'll do it, Bob. Pressure my drink, will you?
Yes, Vera?
Let's go out on the terrace.
Yeah, of course.
It's like being in another world. Oh, what a beautiful night. Dave, please don't be angry.
Angry? I'm not angry.
You're angry because I still haven't explained why...
It's not important.
Dave, I don't want to lose you as a friend so soon. I felt so badly I embarrassed you that night. I lied on the spur of the moment. It's hard for me to explain exactly why. Bob's character, I suppose, and instinctively Well, he's my husband. A good husband, really. I shouldn't criticize him, but...
Oh, Vera.
I told him the next day it was awful for him to have acted the way he did. Then I was ashamed to call you. Days went by. He went away yesterday morning, and I thought... Well, why should I be ashamed?
Well, then let's forget it, Vera.
Can you?
Well, not literally, I suppose. I mean...
For days I couldn't think of anything but the look on your face that evening. Dave,
What?
Oh, never mind.
What were you going to say?
I shouldn't say a thing like that.
Like what? Tell me.
It presumes too much about your feelings for me. After all, we're not old friends. I'm simply a woman who wants to go in business again for herself. Some escape from... Now, we'd better go back inside, Dave.
Vera, you can't presume too much about my feelings.
Don't say anything.
This is the 3rd time I've seen you. It seems like the 100th. That's got to mean something.
Well, under the circumstances, Dave, what can it mean?
I love you.
No.
Not possible in such a short time? Why not?
Please, Dave.
This is probably the last time I'll ever see you, and I've got to say it. I love you. And I wish I didn't have a husband and that you loved me.
Oh, Dave.
Oh, Vera, darling. My darling. I do love you.
I'm so glad.
Glad?
I was hoping you'd... thinking of it, wishing that...
I don't believe you.
What?
How can I? You love me?
I believe you, Dave. Why shouldn't you believe me? I'll prove I love you, Dave. I'll tell you why I really came to see you at your office last week. I'll tell you why I invited you to the theater and why I lied. It was to involve you personally with me. I'll tell you why I lied when my husband was there. For the same reason. To involve you deeper. To make you feel guilty. I knew my husband was going to be there. He and I planned it all beforehand. Including my bringing you here tonight. Bob Mollison poses as a consulting engineer. He has an office, all right, but he's no engineer. I never ran a shop in my life. The rest of our scheme is to get you involved with me further. Then blackmail you.
Vera, this
Bob's
is all...
figured out a scheme for making all tenants at the airport pay kickbacks to you for getting good space. He'd even pay you half the money. It can run into hundreds of thousands over a period of years.
Blackmail?
Bob's sure you can be blackmailed. He figures you'd come into the racket with us to prevent its becoming public that you and I would...
I'm not married. There'd be no great scandal.
You're appointed by the city. How long could you keep that job if Bob linked your name with that of a female jailbird?
You?
4 years in the state penitentiary.
Why?
Same scheme as this, in another city. There may be some mistakes, and the victim wouldn't blackmail. Now, do you believe what I said?
All that? Yes, I suppose I do.
I mean, do you believe that I love you?
Is this the same mistake you made before? Falling in love with a victim?
No.
Well, you made another.
What?
This time you'll let the victim really fall in love with you.
Well, we'll both have to get over it.
Yes. Together.
Together?
We'll go to Chicago, New York, any place. And from there notify Mollison you want a divorce. We'll get married.
But your job.
And I'll get another. Will you do it?
On one condition.
What?
I want to protect you. I'm going to tell Bob the whole thing, the truth, and ask him to settle everything quietly. Oh, darling, I'm so happy. I'm scared to death.
The conclusion of Under Arrest, August 6, 1950, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues. But first...
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medi-Share for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medi-Share's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medi-Share is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Under Arrest, August 6, 1950.
Can we talk here privately, Captain Scott?
Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
No interruptions, no phones, no nothing till I tell you.
Yes, sir.
Last night, Captain, I saw Vera Mollison again. She and I really have fallen in love. We're leaving the city. She's going to divorce Mollison. We're going to get married.
Have a cigarette, Mr. Hale. I can see that speech took all the nerve you've got.
Thank you.
Light? Then I was entirely wrong, was I, Mr. Hale?
About there being some kind of scheme? No. But that's all over now.
There was a scheme, but it's over?
Mrs. Mollison and her husband planned to blackmail me into a racket involving kickbacks on airport rentals.
Hale, after I got her name last week, I inquired about her in the Federal Identification Files in Washington. Vera Hammer, evidently the same girl, spent 4 years in a New York state pen for attempted blackmail.
She told me.
Well, Mollison's her husband, all right. Real name's Miller. Stoney Miller. Used to work for Big Con in Kansas City. Served 3 prison terms.
I don't care anything about him. Captain, I've come to you and told you all this because of our previous conversations. Now I want you to forget the whole matter.
You let this bust in the papers and you're out of work, Hale.
She's asking Mollison to let us handle the whole thing quietly.
You think he will?
Even crooks aren't all bad, Captain Scott. Why wouldn't he?
You stand to lose a lot more than your airport job. You've got a future in the city administration, haven't you?
Well...
Don't you realize you're giving Mollison a stronger weapon against you than he had before?
What? How?
To frame a man with a variation of the old Badger game is usually pretty good, even though the emotions involved aren't very important. But now you're very deeply involved with this woman, and she with you. Mollison will see that. He knows you'll pay higher.
I'll leave the city and stay away.
If you balk him of this particular racket, he'll want to be paid high for letting his wife go. And if you can't do that, he'll refuse a divorce.
I don't care.
Listen to what you're saying, Hale. It can ruin your life to be tied up with a woman married to a crook, and she an ex-con herself.
We don't care anything about anything except that we love each other.
You're going to hate me the rest of your life, but how do you know that even what she told you last night isn't part of a scheme?
What?
Which of you two suggested handling it quietly?
What? No, Vera did.
There it is, the real hook. They figure you'll pay higher if you're really in love than even if it was just a frame.
That's a rotten thing to say about her. I swear she's sincere.
Hale, have you got the nerve to come with me to visit them now without warning and find out?
Well, this is all wonderful, Vera. Wonderful.
Then you'll let me handle the divorce thing quietly?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Oh, Bob, I'm sorry I disappointed you. It hasn't been bad with you. taking everything together.
No, it hasn't.
You can find a new partner who won't let you down. If it's all the same to you, I'll move to a hotel.
Darling, you're getting ahead of yourself. I said I'd let you handle the divorce thing quietly, provided Hale cuts me in on the airport rental racket as soon as I set it up for him.
You're crazy. He won't do it.
To marry you, why won't he?
Because we're not going to start off wrong.
All right, then I'll smear it all over the papers.
But you promised.
For a price.
Bob, please. The racket idea's out. Can't you leave us alone?
Well, sure, but not for nothing.
All right. I'll go away. Alone. Away from you and from him.
All right, I'll smear him anyway. I'll yell he knows where you went.
You rotten crumb, you.
You better put down that phone.
If you hurt Dave, I'll tell the one thing about you that'll finish you for life.
Oh, stop kidding. You were in on it, too.
I don't care anymore what you do to me, but I will help Dave.
Put that phone down.
Operator, I want police. Oh. You're done anyway, Bob. The operator certainly heard it.
Don't move, Mollison. Police. Police? Hold still the way you are. Give me that gun. And you get handcuffs. Police?
Hello? Hello?
Captain.
Hello?
She's dead.
Hello?
Hello, operator. This is Captain Scott, police. It's all right.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Mollison, I'm arresting you for the murder of your wife.
Scott, she's dead. He killed her, the murdering. Leave him alone, Hale. But he killed her.
We'll all take care of him for that and for a previous murder. I was hoping I wouldn't have to tell you, Hale, but through you, 2 vicious murders have been caught.
2?
Yeah. Because of the inquiries I made in Washington, I learned that Bob and Vera Miller, these 2, were wanted for 2 years for the planned murder of a man in Philadelphia.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, Hale. It just couldn't have worked with you and her. Operator, police headquarters, please.
Under arrest. Into your cells.
All prisoners present and accounted for.
You have heard Under Arrest, presented by Mutual and starring Joe DeSantis as Police Captain Jim Scott. Today's case was especially dramatized for Under Arrest by Paul R. Milton. Original music was composed and played by Al Finelli. Heard in today's cast were Rita Lynn as Mrs. Mollison, Eric Dressler as her husband, and Court Benson as Mr. Hale. All names of persons used in Under Arrest are fictitious. Any resemblance to names of actual persons living or dead is coincidental. This is Ken Marvin speaking.
August 6, 1950, Under Arrest on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now an episode of the soap opera Claudia from August 6, 1948.
And now, Claudia.
Mama, we better hurry. These pictures of Fritz and Bertha and David will be here.
Well, the room's starting to look quite livable, I'm pleased to admit.
Is that the best you can say for our handiwork? I think it's stunning.
Fritz and Bertha love it.
Just a couple of more tacks and we can hang up the pictures.
Oh, Claudia, you'll drive that wall down.
Oh, no, I won't.
I like the view from this window. It faces the whole farm.
Yes, that's for Fritz. Poor Fritz having had to live in the city all this time. And what he really wanted was a place of his own. Do you think they'll ever get it?
What?
Place of their own?
I doubt it.
Why do you say that?
I just doubt it. But it's nice. They still have their hopes. Hopes keep people young.
Oh, I have so many hopes.
Hang on to them.
Oh, don't worry. Trouble is, so many of them are coming true so fast. At this rate, I'll run out of them.
If you do, I'll disown you. There. Are these pictures straight?
Well, they're pretty good for you. That one there, that tilts a little bit to the left.
Oh, dear. There's nothing that makes me more nervous than a crooked picture. How's that?
Better? Now, let's see. What else do we have to do?
Let me see. The curtains are up.
Yeah?
Bedspreads are on. The scatter rugs are down. You dusted.
Hangers in the closet.
I put some there already.
Paper in the drawers?
That's done, too.
Mama, when did you do all this?
Oh, while you were talking.
You know, maybe I should try listening for a change. Seems a person can get a lot more done that way.
You wouldn't like it, although I don't think you've ever tried.
Well, Mama, I hear a car.
Look out the window.
No, didn't stop. Oh, now that everything's ready, I wish they'd come.
Sit down and save your strength.
I've been saving it for months. I feel like King Midas. But I might as well sit down.
Oh, Claudia. Do you realize it's almost time to feed the baby?
Oh, I hope they get here before it's time to start. Bobby resents being interrupted.
And I resent his having to wait. Well, I guess that's that.
Guess 'tis. Life is queer.
All of a sudden?
No, just all the time. We rented an apartment in New York, and what happens? Fritz is the superintendent, and Bertha turns out to be the most wonderful woman. Then we move up to the farm. Frankly, Mama, I was scared to death as to how we'd ever manage. The next thing we know, Fritz and Bertha come up to take over.
Where do you keep the Blarney stone in this house?
It's under your bed. Oh, I hope it won't be too much work for them up here.
I'll be around for a while longer.
If Bertha lets you do anything to help. Or me, even. You know how she is about it. She rolls up her sleeves and everything gets done. Poof, like magic.
It's system that counts.
I have system. But with me, it's not enough.
Well, let's go downstairs.
I wish they'd get here.
So do I.
I'm dying to hear what they say when they see their room.
Just a little patience, please, or don't you have any?
Of course I have some. I waited 9 months for the baby to come, didn't I?
You protested a good deal.
There they are. I'm going downstairs.
Be careful.
Yes.
Claudia, remember, I have dinner already.
I remember. Bertha's not going to do one bit of work tonight, Mama. Tonight they're company. David? David, is that you?
Anybody home?
Everybody's home. You aren't alone, are you?
I am not. Fritz and Bertha out by the car.
Wonderful. They're really here. I can hardly believe it.
Hey, don't I even get a hello?
Just a quick one. Fritz and Bertha are more important tonight. Fritz, Bertha! Welcome to Eastbrook.
Hello.
Mrs. Norton, we have such a lovely drive up. The country is beautiful, isn't it?
Everything is so green, so rich looking.
This house. Can you believe this is where we are going to live, Fritz?
I try to believe. I'm pinching myself.
Somebody pinch me, too. I can hardly believe it's true.
Are you talking to me?
You'll pinch if you like, but don't tickle, please.
Fritz, they are like two children.
My wife is like two children, yes.
I'm very adult when you're not around.
I think it's the air, Bertha, and the sky. It's so big. You feel small like children.
Up here on the farm, I feel as if I own the sky as far as I can see.
And that is very far.
Very far.
Well, your room is all ready. We hope you're going to like it.
We like it.
Fritz.
We know we like it. But it is not for the room we come. It will be nice, Fritz, huh? To live with the family we love.
Well, certainly. It's the only way to live. The only way. But the fields, Mr. Norton, they are hardly started.
Oh, they've been waiting for you, Fritz.
We had a handyman, but he wasn't very handy, so we let him go.
Oh.
His mistakes cost too much money.
Well, don't worry. We will work the land, and it will grow and give you very much.
Oh, it better had. I'm sick and tired of it lying around not earning its keep.
Well, how about coming inside now and getting settled?
Yeah, I put away our things and change my clothes, and we are ready.
Yes,
Just
sir.
put away your things. You don't have to be ready for anything tonight.
Oh, the house. It looks wonderful.
Yeah.
So clean. I do not think you need me at all.
Oh, we need you all right, but we don't want you here only for that. We want you here because we want you here.
Because we want you here.
Because we want you here because we want you here.
Hello.
You don't know how long we've been waiting for you.
Not so long as we have waited to come.
I wonder why we didn't think of this months ago when we first moved up.
Oh, we didn't dare think of it.
I guess that's it. Now, come on, your room is just down to the left. You see how we fixed it, David?
Here, I'll take the bags. Bertha, put that one down.
No, it is a little one. It is light. I can
Put it down, put it down.
Better do what he says. David can be an awful bully.
Just this once, then I put it down. Oh, my, this house, the walls are full of happiness.
They're full of mortgages, too.
How's the baby since you are here?
Happy as a duck in the water.
I think he thinks he is a duck most of the time.
I had him out under the apple tree this afternoon, and he loved it.
He didn't open his eyes.
Well, that's how I knew. Well, This is your room.
This? Oh, for Fritz and me?
For us?
It's not very big, but it's the only extra one we have.
Not very big. Why, it's enormous. It's half as big as all of Connecticut. With so many windows.
Yes, isn't it wonderful?
We look out all the time.
We hope you like it.
Such a view. Our room. With white organdy curtains, white bedspreads. Oh, you should not have taken such trouble.
We wanted to.
We would have been happy sleeping in the cellar. Or Fritz in the barn.
You can hear roosters in the morning.
Yes, and I hear angels in the night. Oh, Mrs. Norton, Bertha. Fritz and I will be so happy here. It is like we've come home. Like all our hopes at last. But much better.
I'm glad, Bertha. Well, we'll leave you now. Just make yourselves at home. Oh, dinner will be ready in half an hour.
Dinner ready? I must hurry then.
Oh, there's not anything for you to do except take your time.
But I must help with dinner.
You must not.
Oh, just a little, to make myself feel we are really here because you need us.
Don't you worry about that. Another week, you'll probably be sorry you ever came.
Oh, we will never be sorry, Mr. Norton. But tonight I was going to make you apple pancakes.
You were?
Yeah. It's a celebration.
Apple pancakes.
David, Bertha is not to do one single solitary thing tonight but enjoy herself.
Oh, then it is settled. I make apple pancakes because then I enjoy myself more than any other way.
Bertha, you're terrible. David, wait till I get you for this.
Claudia, now you wouldn't want me to deprive Bertha of her only pleasure, would you?
Well, you are the greediest, the most apple pancake hungry man I ever knew. Now, come on, oh, pancake. We'll let Bertha get settled.
In my heart, I'm all settled. I'll be ready in a moment.
Well, I didn't think two people could be so happy with so little. You should have seen them in the car, darling. They were like children on Christmas morning.
Oh. Hey, where'd Fritz go? He didn't come upstairs with us, or
I guess he's getting acquainted with the outside. Probably went to have a look at the barn.
I think he wishes he could sleep there.
Probably. Now, I'm going to go in and have a quick shower before dinner.
I'll go tell Mama about the apple pancakes so she won't start cutting up the grapefruit. Mama? Mama, where are you?
I'm in the kitchen, Claudia. Well, did she like it?
She said it was beautiful, the curtains, the view, everything.
Good.
But if she finds you down here in the kitchen, she'll be furious. She considers the kitchen all her own.
But not tonight.
Oh, that's where you're wrong. Tonight is apple pancake night.
Claudia, I thought I told you. Did you say apple pancakes?
I did. Apple pancakes. There was no point in arguing. David has already melted.
Well, it's against my principles, but I've nearly melted myself.
So am I.
It'll please Bertha.
Yes.
At least everything else is ready and the table's set.
You seen Fritz anyplace? I guess he must be outside, maybe. Oh, I'm glad it wasn't raining when they came. It's going to be a beautiful evening. I don't see Fritz up around the barn anyplace.
Claudia, is that him there? On the path to the hill?
Where? I don't see
Over
anybody.
there. That gaunt man stooping over.
Oh, yes. Yes, I guess that must be Fritz. What's he doing, Mama?
Seems to be picking up something.
Looks as if he's picking up a piece of earth. He's holding it in his hands and smelling it. Now he's standing up straight and looking up towards the walnut tree on the hill. Mama, he looks like a man who's had a very great hunger for the earth. Last he's found it. I didn't know a man could want so much for just plain good earth. I guess that's what's in David, too. Fritz is smelling the land and Bertha is rushing to her kitchen. No, it's not a room they wanted. It's a way of life.
Sometimes you astound me.
Not so brilliant. It's just the way of life David's given to me. The life that Fritz finds in just a clod of earth held in his hands. Heavens, Mama, what are we doing here? Do you realize we're 3 minutes late for Bobby's dinner?
Claudia, don't run. I'll wring your neck if you fall and break it.
As I listened to a mother I know the other day, I couldn't help but admire the way she handled her teenage son. He was begging to have a party. Instead of complaining or denying him the fun, she simply smiled and said, "Fine, I'll order a case of Coke. The rest is up to you." Well, the boy went galloping off to the phone in a high state of glee, and I'm willing to wager the party was a success on all counts. The kids had fun, and Mom had very little trouble. I hand you the tip, those of you with youngsters, because nothing makes such a party hit as ice-cold Coca-Cola, especially with teenagers.
Well, I have walked all around the farm, Mr. King.
And, Fritz, what did you find?
Oh, I can't put it in words, but it is such a beautiful place, and the land is good.
I bet you can't wait to turn your hand at that land.
The first thing tomorrow morning, I will start.
It's a big job you have ahead of you, Fritz.
I'm glad with work and such a place to live. Bertha and I, we will be very happy.
Well, we're all glad you found what you wanted. It's never too late.
To live not as one hopes and needs, that and lonesomeness are two terrible things.
You've tasted lonesomeness, too.
We all taste it, no?
Well, even small boys do, Fritz, and with them it's a very special kind.
The worst.
As we'll find out on Monday when Claudia and David have a surprise visitor. See you then, Fritz.
We will be here.
August 6th, 1948, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Please visit my website, classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. Contact me there. You can find all of our social media links. You can, and you can also contact me directly, and you can also buy me a copy if you like what we do here. classicradio.stream. classicradio.stream. Thank this station, support their advertisers, tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.